There we go.
Wow.
Heck yeah. That's how you do it.
I really apologize for that. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, thanks again, Will, for doing this today, and appreciate it. Again, I'm looking forward to the conversation. So, especially question number one here, because we talked a little bit about your background. So, the typical career path, if there is such a thing for an entrepreneur, is typically go to college, get a job, then start a company. But it seems like you kind of flipped that on its head. You, if I'm reading your background correctly, then you started a company, then you started another company, then you went to college. Can you walk us through that journey that you had from coding websites to running a highly successful event production company?
Yeah.
How did that journey happen?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't talk a lot about the history before, like, when I started to get in the events industry, because most people were like Yawnsville on it. But yeah, I started technically in middle school, making websites, and, working around a lot of blogging platforms. And I remember when they weren't called blogs, they were called web blogs, and you only called it a blog if you were like really cool and like in the industry and understood like what a blog was. Everyone else just called web blogs. And essentially made websites, make like $300 here, $400 here, making websites. Was really into technology. Really, I'm still really, really into technology. Tinkering around with websites, tinkering around with, networking, all that sort of stuff. And essentially decided to start up an internet radio station, called Deftunes Radio, Deftunes Radio. And it was basically a radio station where I played electronic music. I first started off just a crowd of one because I could only hold one person on my home server from my house. And eventually I found out, you can get a server outside of your house and stream to that, and then more people can tune in, and grew to about 125 people, and it was all NPR model. So basically you play music all day long, and then you beg for money once a month and hope to God you can keep the lights on. Eventually we couldn't keep the lights on because it turns out donations just kind of dried up, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't understand business. I didn't understand cash flow or anything like that. So, I thought to myself, I was like, I'll take some of my savings from making websites and keep it going for one more month. Another month goes in, no donations. Couldn't believe it. Okay, well, I got to probably figure out something else I'm going to do. And at the time, doing this internet radio station, I had a huge love for electronic music. But all the time I had these DJs playing from all around the world, and that's how I learned time zones, is that I had to schedule DJs. And then I didn't realize, because you live in this bubble and you're in middle school and high school, you never think about outside and what daylight savings times is, especially in Arizona, which daylight savings time doesn't exist. So I had to learn, then all of a sudden the next day, I woke up and all the DJs were missing their slots. And I was like, guys, why are you missing them? They're like, I'm not on for another hour. And I'm like, I don't understand this. What are you talking about? Your show goes on right now. And they're like, it's this time here. I'm like, why'd your time change? And I learned about daylight savings time. So I'm really inexperienced. At the time, all the DJs around the world were saying hey, you play all this music on this radio station. You love electronic music. Why don't you become a DJ? And I thought to myself, no way. There's no way I would ever be able to become a DJ. This is back when before you could use a laptop to DJ. So I was like, vinyl records, beat matching, oh my gosh, this is so complex. I could never be a DJ. It was kind of subtle, dream as a child growing up that I wanted to become a DJ. But I thought to myself, there's no way. I blew them off all throughout running the internet radio station until, I got to this crossroads where I couldn't afford to run the internet radio station anymore, and kind of shut down, and I had a little bit of money saved from websites. I had $400, and I was like, okay, I can use it to keep the internet radio station going for one last month, because it costs $400 a month to run in middle school for me. And so I was like, okay, well, let me try out DJing. So I actually shut down the internet radio station. Turns out I actually technically gave it to another internet radio station, so technically I guess it got bought by someone else, but the only thing it afforded me was being able to play online for the first time I ever played online on an internet radio station. But that's a longer story. So, sorry, I'm giving you the super duper long version of it.
No worries.
Then from there, so to kind of become a bedroom DJ, essentially DJing in my bedroom, I play electronic music just for myself. Occasionally friends would come over and listen. Eventually, I got that itch to try to DJ on an internet radio station. And I remember that, I got decently good enough, so I started asking the internet radio stations I knew, like, hey, can I grab a slot at this time to play, and, I got ridiculed online because, like, I was absolutely terrible and got better and better and, just kept DJing all the time. But it was just, like, this love for playing new music. Eventually, like, you could use computers to play with vinyl records, which was cool, and, that allowed me to play even more different types of music. And I did that for a while until I basically throughout, like, my freshman year of high school into my sophomore year, until my sophomore year, my school goes, hey, we heard you're a DJ. Can you DJ our, like, like, it's like this middle school dance or whatever we're hosting? And I was like, no way. I don't know what music people like. Oh, no. Sorry, this was before the middle school. It was actually a friend of mine. This girl in my class says, hey, can you DJ our backyard party? I said, sure. I said, I don't know. I don't know what kind of music you listen to. I don't know who Usher is. I don't know who Chris Brown is. Like, all these popular people. I was like, I just listen to electronic music. No way. And she said, I'll pay you $50 to do it. And I was like, sure. And I was like, oh, God. Now I got to find out what music you guys like. And, I had only, like, my home stereo speakers. So I literally had I didn't have my driver's license, so my parents actually.
She paid you how much?
$50.
Okay.
Which is ironic because it was less than the websites, but it was just like, because it was pure, like, you just get to DJ and do what you love, and no one, like, there was no judgment as far as, like, she didn't have any expectations as far as what to play. I was just like, I get paid to do something I do in my bedroom for fun. It was super exciting. So, so I got that first gig. My parents had to drive me because I didn't have my driver's license. I brought my home stereo speakers. I borrowed speakers from the dad of the girl too, because I didn't have I wanted to, like, spread them out throughout the lawn and stuff. And I had to actually have a friend stand next to me and tell me what to play. And she literally she'd be like, play Chris Brown, run it. Play Usher, yeah. Play this song. Definitely didn't get the music the most legal of ways for sure too. I had no idea. It was just so much fun. Did that event. Well, then my high school said, hey, we heard you DJ'd Anna's birthday party. Can you DJ this middle school event? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not really it was really hard. She goes, we'll pay you $50. I say, okay, sure. Then before that, I was DJing, like, all the middle school dances around the state. I was DJing, and then before I knew it, I was DJing, lots of random events because I found out about Google AdWords. I decided to set up a website for the company at the time. It was called Arizona Pro DJs. We had the most clever name. We're in Arizona. We're DJs, and we wanted to make people think we were professional. So Arizona Pro DJs became the name. And I started, doing random gigs, and, I didn't want to be just Will Kern, the DJ. And then eventually I found out about AdWords. And it was back when you could buy the keyword DJ for $1. So, I was like, I can rank number one for when people search DJ on Google. That's awesome. Now it would be like $400 per click if you wanted that. So I started DJing all the time. Eventually, graduated high school. We had official polo shirts. We had nice cases. Was doing reunion parties and random backyard parties, and had it figured out I needed a contract, and I had to figure out where I was going to go to college. Got lucky enough to get an entrepreneurship scholarship, through basically for being an entrepreneur in high school, which was amazing because I was not going to get a scholarship any other way. And went to ASU and basically decided, one of the questions they asked me was when I was doing the entrepreneurship scholarship interview, it's like, hey, if you get the scholarship, will you continue running your business? And I was like, how do I run a business anywhere but Arizona? So I was like, I don't know what music they like in New Orleans or Seattle. Turns out it's not much difference. I thought for some reason it would be totally different. And basically started DJing in college, and that's when it really kind of took off because now I had way more free time, and I got lucky enough that before I started attending school, I got a gig at ASU. So when the first day arrived, I was the first DJ ever to play on campus that year. So everyone had heard of me. So before I knew it, 7 days a week, was having to leave class early to go DJ events, was DJing frat parties on Fridays and crazy events during the week on campus, and was making really good money for a college kid, and before I know it, I basically start to get burnt out from DJing, hauling equipment, staying up until 2 a.m. every single night, just completely burnt out on top of doing college and everything like that. And I started thinking okay, what's next? I built a DJ company, but I want to do something better. And I saw these videos on YouTube that have this cool company doing stuff on the East Coast where they do these like massive high school dances with like 3,000 kids, $50,000 AV budgets, and it was just absolutely insane. And it was like the coolest thing ever. Like it looked like an Usher concert in a high school gym. It was like club lights, big concert sounds. It was insane. And I thought to myself, man, my high school dances sucked. I wish I had that when I was like getting started. So I said, like, I wrote it as a goal. I said, by the time I graduate college, I want to do like one of those events. So I can I had no idea how I was going to do it, how it was all going to happen. I said, I want to do one of them. So I wrote that down as a goal, and then continued just doing the DJ thing. Well, about 3 months later, high school contacted me, and I was really good about using the internet to find information. So, I'd always Google the school. I'd look at like how many kids were on free lunches, what was the average salary of the families that lived nearby. Like I could determine like a lot about that school and what type of like budget they were going to have before I entered. And I started looking at the school. I was like, wow, this school's going to have a huge budget. Like it was like my first high school I was going to do that was going to have at least like 3,000 kids in it. And I was like, you know what? I want to pitch them this idea for these like massive high school dances. So I took the videos and the pictures of the other company, covered up their logos, went into this meeting and said, hey, look at what we can do. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing we've ever seen. How much does this cost? And of course, like I totally underquote it because I have no idea how much it costs. I just wanted to like pitch the idea. They accepted it, did the event, lost a ton of money on it, but they were blown away. And the cool thing that happened is at that dance, there's, kids not only from that one high school, but also the school down the street, the school across the valley, another school. So like 10, 20 kids go back to their schools and they're like, oh my gosh, you have to see this video of this high school's dance. It was amazing. We have to get these guys. And like before I knew it, we were DJing like every single high school and college event in Arizona. We literally had like 75% of the market, like almost a true monopoly, and like took schools from $400 DJ budgets to $40,000. Okay, maybe not $40,000, $14,000 at least. And it was like absolutely insane. It was like I learned everything, and one of the things I had to learn was, hey, like how do you get all these lights, sound, video, staging? Turns out there's a thing called a production company that you hire. So I started Googling production companies, found production companies, started working in productions, hiring production companies. And we had to first event we ever did, they came and like set up everything and we just like basically plugged in our DJ booth. And then eventually we were like, okay, like show us how the board works. Okay, show us how to set up the sound system. And we basically learned everything about production by hiring production companies essentially. So we did that for a long time, eventually got to the point where we did the Fiesta Bowl block party, 100,000 people. We built a club in literally the intersection of a street. 100,000 people were there. It was like one of the craziest events I've ever done. And I thought to myself, like, when I DJ'd that event and I like saw all those people screaming, I thought to myself, high schools and colleges are never going to spend this money. Like, if I want to do this I don't want to do high school dances and college events anymore every weekend. I want to do this every weekend. So I was like, okay, what are we going to do that? And that's when we started making the transition into pure production. We realized like the DJing and entertainment portion was not, really profitable for us. It was where most of our headaches were. It was also just like, like we constantly like, we'd have events booked and a DJ would be like, my mom just got in a car accident. I can't go. And we're like, we're triple booked already. We don't have any DJs. We have to like find people on the spot and realize it's just where all of our headaches were. And then we also realized that by hiring AV companies, we realized that they elementary, basically at a rudimentary level, really sucked. And we basically realized that like we had to like put filters and things like that in front of our clients, so then that way the clients can talk to the AV companies because they're really good at making the lights look good. They made it sound really good, but they are horrible people. So we just like slowly started realizing like, man, production's actually where we should be focusing our energy on. And essentially we realized, hey, we think that AV companies suck. Why don't we build a better AV company, essentially? And that's kind of the longer story short in the end. I give you a little bit more extended in the beginning that not many people know.
It's going to be challenging. That's a great story, but it's going to be challenging for me to try to cut down to a reasonable length for the blog.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'll do that. But we've used time. Are you still okay for time? Because I got a few more questions to go through.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Oh my God. I usually give like an hour talk telling that whole story, so it's really easy for me to get like tangentized. So yeah, you got time. Yeah, I have like an extra 20, 30 minutes after this, so you're good.
Cool. Good. We may need it. Okay, so that kind of, you must have been like 12 when you started.
Yeah, it was like 13 was like when I first started getting paid to make websites, essentially.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, that is really admirable. How many kids do anything like that? So, okay, so that's the story. That's kind of how you got from those early web coding days through DJing to event production. So what does a typical day kind of look like for you today then?
Yeah, so my time, so people always ask, like, what's your role in the company? Especially because we got, like, rid of titles. It's even more confusing. Like, like, I don't have I'm not, like, the president of the company. I don't do, like, presidential things. Like, I found that, like, hey, we're all a team. We all are, like, equal level. We all just have different roles in it. So my biggest role is, like, I'm here in two parts. One is, like, client-facing, account management kind of role with our largest clients. So I'm sitting down talking about what their needs are, what sort of, like, things they're encountering. A lot of times it's after the point in which they've decided, like, hey, we want to use Endless, but we just don't know what we need. So I spend a lot of time trying to interact with all my clients to try to, like, help them figure out what they need exactly. Because I'm one of the few people that can take, like, something super technical. I understand the technical side really well, but I'm also, like, know how to translate it into English, which is basically kind of like the thesis of our company. So I spend a lot of time just interacting with clients, helping them out, figuring out what they need, taking care of them, and making sure our clients are, like, the happiest people in the world. The other part I spend a lot of time is in the sales and marketing strategy. So, I'm really, really good at sales and marketing. We do a ton of inbound marketing. Obviously, it's like the reason why we push out so much content. We do the podcast, everything like that. So typical day is also spent a lot of times like researching new technologies, new strategies, new tactics, and then talking to the team about how to implement those. Or someone on the team saying, hey, I'm having struggles with this. And we can communicate and say, hey, maybe we can do X, Y, Z to make that happen. So I spend a lot of time talking to the team and helping them out with their sales and marketing strategy. And then there's like the other 5% of my time, which is probably spent, just coming up with creative, new ideas and things like that, for what we could do to, make operations easier, things like that. More like what people would call like presidential stuff. But I spend a lot of time either talking to the team, helping them out with their strategies, or talking to clients. The way I usually spend most of my time is a lot of so since we're a fully remote team, we don't have any physical locations anywhere. I'm usually either in Phoenix, at home in front of my desktop PC where I can get almost anything done instantaneously, or I'm on a plane, hotel, out at an event in a different city, talking to a client, seeing their event, making sure they're happy, or meeting with them leading up to their event. So, that's where kind of my time is split, but it's a lot of video calls, spending time at events, and sitting time on Slack talking to my team.
Yeah, I got to say about your marketing, it's great. I spend a lot of time on social media and see all the everything that you've got going on there with the content and the interaction, and it's you do a great job with it. So
awesome, good.
I'm sure you've seen this too. There are there's a lot of great people in the events industry, but there are just haven't really figured out how to use social media. That it's a social thing, and not just a broadcasting.
I've definitely noticed that, and that's a huge honor for someone who actually writes like yourself to say that back at me, because when people say I really enjoy your content and what you're producing, I'm like, good, that means I'm doing something right.
It's true. Awesome. You definitely on that side of the world know what you're doing. And I'm guessing you probably do the events too. I've never been to one of your events, but I'm sure it would be a blast.
Good.
So what's the biggest challenge then that you face in your work on a daily or weekly basis?
Good question. I think we're slowly picking away at this, but educating people in the knowledge gap when it comes to AV and production. So whether it's, for example, explaining what the good, we just launched a course on how to hire AV companies. Well, helping people understand, hey, there's a better way to do this process than to send out a generic RFP saying you need this many speakers, this many this, and this many this. Educating people on that, like that sort of stuff. Like I spend a lot of time, my biggest challenge is like educating people like, hey, you don't have to do it this way. We can take care of you and do this like a much easier process. That's a big challenge. And I think also education like around like understanding what AV topics are. Like I spend a lot of time just sitting on client calls explaining this is what this speaker does and why we're choosing to put it here. Here's why we're doing this setup and why you want to invest this money this way. We can do it cheaper, but this is how it affects the experience. Like we're not to the day and age yet. I think, I like to do a lot of parallels between the AV industry and the car, like especially the car maintenance industry is that like, when you first maybe 10, 20 years ago when the internet was just absolutely nothing, you couldn't find this information. Like car dealerships ran the gamut. That's why used car salesmen were like the kings, right? They made all the money. They like you had no choice but to deal with this slimy salesperson. You didn't know that you had any power at all. Well, now we have the internet and everyone was able to Google search and find out, everything they want to know about cars, the car sales buying process, how a car works, what different parts are broken, everything like that. And so now the consumer is a lot more educated. They understand exactly what they need, and the power has moved from the salesperson and the car dealership and the car companies to the consumer. We haven't gotten to that way in the AV world yet, mainly because I think the challenge is that AV is inherently scary. So people say, I don't want to deal with that. But then they don't realize, like, hey, the more knowledge you have, the more powerful you can be to make the right decisions. And to be honest, like, most AV companies believe that more education with the consumer is worse for them because we're in this world where companies like in-house AV companies really can take advantage of planners, whether big or small. And so if we could find a way to educate them better, I believe that it makes my job easier, not from like a laziness perspective, but more as just like you can have better conversations. Instead of me explaining why we're over budget by $5,000, I instead say like, why we're over a budget by $5,000. What can we do to change the programming to reduce that cost? But a lot of times I end up telling and saying like, here's what the cost is. Like I have this one client right now I'm talking to and they just like, they're way over their budget. And I'm just like, I cannot physically get this lower, and it's because you changed your event. And you have to understand that changing your event changes your budget. So I think there's a lot of education. That's a humongous challenge that we're dealing with, and our whole team is trying to do. Is trying to educate more, make people's lives easier, make sure that they understand. That's probably one of my biggest challenges. Second biggest challenge, it's funny, I think everyone will say this, but like, there's not having enough time, I think. Like, time seems to be moving faster and faster, and that's good and bad. So, I think just having a time machine probably would be fantastic, too.
Oh, yeah. I deal with that in my business, absolutely. It's the time thing, right? It's where does it go?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Absolutely.
How is it this time? How is it 1 o'clock already? So, as I've talked to people in the industry, this on what kind of event-related technology that people work with, right? Because if you think about it, people in different roles, right, are going to have a much different perspective on even what they think when they hear the term event-related technology, right? Is it management platforms? Is it apps? Is it that the physical AV technology that you work with? So I'm interested in getting your perspective on that, on looking at it again broadly, in a broad way. What types of event-related technology do you personally actually use or interact with on a frequent basis?
Yeah. I probably don't utilize like apps, like event apps or event technologies and cool things like beacon technology things. I don't get to utilize that as much as I wish I could, mainly just because like in the AV world, we're primarily dealing with all the magic and technologies that no one ever sees, that no one ever even talks about. So for example, like in the last, 5 to 8 years, the big move from LED. And obviously, like we've seen in our houses, so that's the easiest example that I have. But essentially, we moved from having all these incandescent traditional fixtures and lights that sucked up a ton of energy to now we can do everything with LED. And no attendee's ever going to be like, wow, look at those LEDs. I'm so glad they're using less technology, less electricity and less heat. It's just so fantastic, But that's been a big change. Go ahead.
You're breaking up a little bit on me.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
I got you. You moved from incandescent to
like LED lights. Am I sounding a little bit better now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the big move was from, traditional lights to LED, right? And attendees don't ever go and say, oh my gosh, look at that beautiful LED fixture. It uses so much less electricity and it's so much less heat and all the benefits that come with LED, right? But that was a huge change for us because on the planning end, it saved massive electrical bills for our clients. And it also allowed us to do things like change color in lights and do a lot of really cool stuff. But no one ever really sees it, but we only see it. And we know all the benefits because we're obviously really techie. So there's been like a lot of changes, I think, when it comes to things on our AV side similar to that no one will ever see, but we're seeing massive changes in already. Let me see if I can provide another example of something that I use. So that's one big thing. Like we use a lot. We're dealing with tons of different technology on the AV side that no one's ever going to see. And to be honest, I don't even want to take the time to explain to people because look, it's just going to make our lives easier, which allows you to save money and make the event run smoother. Other big technologies, my big thing is remote communication is something that I've been really utilizing a ton. We're obviously a remote company. So I've seen in the last 3 years or so, more and more people are willing to have like video calls and talk over video versus being in person. So big technology of being able to communicate remotely and discuss, not just do a phone call, but do a video call, that sort of stuff has been huge for us. And then trying to think other really like event specific stuff. I think also just like the growth in video in general. So we talk about video conferencing, but just in general video. People are craving that they don't want to see a still PowerPoint anymore. They want to see amazing video content, cool transitions, intros, outros. They want to see it on their phone. They want to see it in virtual reality. They want to see it, on the big screen. They want to see it combined with lighting. And I think that's been probably the biggest technology that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis now is in the last, couple of years has been like everyone wants video and they want it now and they want it to be amazing. And so I think that's something that I'm constantly dealing with, specifically on the event side every single day.
That you kind of good. You kind of actually I think anticipated my next question maybe, but next thing is just sort of the kind of what you see as the biggest trends that you just mentioned. Obviously, video and a lot more interactivity and a lot more as you put it, dynamic sort of presentations. But whether it's in terms of I don't know other I guess any kind of trends, but specifically if there's anything related to event technology, kind of what do you see as the big trends this year? And again, you mentioned video, but
Yeah. So as much as I want to preach moving towards more technology and things like that, also I've been preaching big time back to basics, think from the ground up versus how can we just keep adding on more and more technologies. I've seen a lot of events just kind of get convoluted. So I think this idea, the concept we call for a trend this year is the back to the basics. Go back to the beginning. Instead of saying how can we incorporate video, instead say what's our messaging going to be? And then design your video content around that first. Take steps backwards to start from scratch, I think is huge. So that's one of my favorite trends this year. The other one, I've been talking a lot about it with Brant, actually on a lot of webinars, and we've been talking, it seems like we always end up getting a conversation about is the security aspect of technology. I think people need to realize this is not a world anymore where you can just assume that someone's out there looking out for you on the security side. It's like owning a house. You have to be proactive to know where the weak spots are and also the different technologies you can put in place to protect you. We just did a huge webinar with eTouches talking about all the things that people are just not aware of. And we did this talk and people are just mind blown. There's like, wait, there's all these gaps I didn't even think about. And it's not even just related to like your event app. It's talking about like your personal security, your email, your passwords, how you surf the web, how you interact with Wi-Fi, like all these things like that I think people are just like, again, going back to the education, everyone needs to be aware of. We're working really hard to educate, and we just want to make sure that people know about it, because it's like we're in a day and age where we're just adding more and more technology. And a parent with like Cambridge Analytica and everything going on there, it's like data is out there getting thrown all around, and if you don't know where your data is, you're going to be in deep trouble. So I think really trying to figure out how you can protect yourself is a gigantic trend. Especially as we're continuing to add more and more technology into the world. And I think that's one of the biggest trends that I'm seeing, especially, and it's growing and growing every single month that goes by, it seems like.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The Facebook thing really, I think, opened a lot of people's eyes. I've been doing this for so long that I was shocked that people were shocked. It's sort of
right.
What did you think Facebook was doing? Collecting all that data. Why is their service free? Why is their service free yet they earn billions of dollars? Do you not get? Yeah,
that's true.
Anyway.
That's very true. No, it's all good. I think that maybe a year ago people thought like whatever, but now at least it's coming up, and it's something that we kind of predicted. We just realized like we were just seeing like more and more of these things happening, and the news was just starting to like finally start covering, and people were like, whoa, what's going on? And and now I think this is the year that people need to start being aware of it, because next year it's going to be crazy. Next year is going to be like every week we're going to hear about some new crazy scandal, and it's going to be like, if you're not protecting yourself, you're going to be really afraid.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's you're right. It's awareness, right? It's people they just don't think about the vulnerabilities necessarily, the risks. Last question that I've got for you is, if you could give event planners and marketers one piece of advice for this year, kind of what would that be?
Oh, it's funny as I asked that's my second to last question on all of our podcasts, and I never seem to have a good answer. One piece of advice.
Or you could do two.
Yeah, I think I think to pick like a larger trend and tie back into everything that I've kind of been talking about is that you need to make sure that you are taking time to work on yourself, not just on your business and not just on your clients' events, but work on time to educate yourself through, for example, understanding. If you don't understand all the security stuff, take time to start Googling what these different terms are, different tools that you can use. Google, how can I stay protected? All these things like that. If you don't understand AV, go out there and spend the time to invest in yourself to learn that stuff. I think a lot of times we're just so concerned about getting to the next client, 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 that before we know it, the year's over, and you're like, that thing I wanted to do, I never got it done. Take the time to do it. If you don't actually schedule the time to be able to work on yourself, it's going to be gone before you know it, and you'll be thinking to yourself, man, I really wish I had done that.
That's great advice, and yes, that applies to you. Right?
Good.
Security, obviously, as we've been talking about, but as you mentioned, just AV, understanding it better, right? You can ask better questions, and
absolutely
end up in a better, dialogue with the provider and a better product in the end.
Absolutely. Yeah, you hit nail on the head.
Well, this has been great. Well, I really appreciate again your time again today, and also your patience with my technology difficulties.
Oh no, it's totally okay.
At the outset, and hopefully the recording actually worked, so I don't have to hey, Will, let's do that again.
Let's do that again. No, it's all good. No, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and ask me questions and to feature me. I really appreciate it big time.
Yeah, and I admire the stuff you get this transcribed and try to figure out how to get it, like I said, get it down to to a length I can use on the blog.
Totally.
And then obviously we'll let you know as soon as it goes up.
Sounds good, and we'll promote it like crazy too. So you just let us know.
Awesome. All right.
Cool. Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate you taking the time, and let me know if there's anything else you need or any clarifications on anything said. I'm here. I'm happy to help.
I will do that.
Awesome.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you so much, Tom. Have a good one. You too. Bye-bye.